Well, this Friday then marks the 25th Franco-German Council of Ministers, gathering the French president, German chancellor, and ministers from both countries for talks on bilateral policy issues. Well, this time, the two hailed agreements on numerous fronts. 8 shared documents were finalized, 20 key projects reached as well as a part of those bilateral efforts. Among the domains of reinforced cooperation were defense, the two saying that they're working together on an early missile warning system initiative, the war in Ukraine, notably by providing more air defense systems to Kyiv, and on economic matters, including digital sovereignty. Here's the French president.
The next few days will be decisive, marking the end of the period we had agreed with President Trump and with President Zelensky to hold the first meetings. And we will continue to exert pressure for additional sanctions to be imposed. We are ready to do this ourselves, but also with the United States of America to force Russia back to the negotiating table, while at the same time maintaining our support.
Well, France 24's international affairs commentator Douglas Herbert joins me now on set. Hi, Doug. So much of this was dedicated to the question of cooperation on defense, notably in Ukraine.
Yeah, notably in Ukraine. And the one thing where these two leaders really are on the same page, completely see eye to eye, it seems, is in that unwavering support for Ukraine. And whatever scales were left in front of their eyes have totally fallen when it comes to both leaders, when it comes to their trust in Vladimir Putin. You know, in the past day or so, we've heard Russia hit back at Emmanuel Macron, calling Putin a predator, an ogre. He's also said that he's clearly just, drifting more and more towards an authoritarian form of government, veering that way, leading with an imperialist style. We have heard Merz very bluntly saying that he sees no hope, I underscore no hope of a meeting between Volodymyr Zelensky and Vladimir Putin in the short or even the medium term. So really very, very few, if any, illusions left as to, as they see it, Russia's lack of interest in really pursuing what Europeans would call a fair and lasting peace. That would be something short of Ukraine having to completely capitulate on Russia's terms. In fact, they issued a joint statement following their meeting, this Council of Ministers meeting on the French Riviera today, basically saying together jointly that despite all of the intense diplomatic efforts, and presumably they were also talking about Donald Trump's meeting, even if they didn't explicitly say it, but Donald Trump's meeting with Putin in Anchorage, Alaska a couple of weeks back. But despite all of that intense diplomacy, they see zero signs of Russia having any intention of ending its war of aggression against Ukraine. On the contrary, the facts in the skies, on the ground, speak for themselves over the past 24 hours, really over the past days and weeks. Day after day, swarms of drones, continued missiles, challenging, straining the ability of Ukraine's stretched air defenses to hit them all, to try to knock them all out of the sky. They haven't been able to do that in the most recent wave. Some are making impact with casualties and then some. And that's one of the reasons why at today's meeting, one of the key announcements to come out of it is, yes, more initiatives to provide Ukraine with what it says it needs most, and that is air defense, especially the types of air-launched or land-based cruise missiles that can hit incoming drones out of the sky. The missiles are a much more elusive target, especially the hypersonic missiles. But the air defense capacity, and we saw several European countries also announce hundreds of millions, over $800 million intention to sell some of these air defense weapons to Ukraine to give them to Ukraine after buying them from the U.S. So that's another big deal in the past couple of days. But we do see a lot of more tight solidarity from Europe, even though you're forgiven if you remain cynical, because what can the Europeans do beyond what they've already done right now? Their resources are stretched. Sanctions have only been able to go so far. Putin has found a way to run interference around all of them and wriggle out of them. So it's a very difficult equation, but they did show on that issue that they're marching in lockstep.
Doug, a couple of other topics that we tend to hear much less about, at least than things like the war in Ukraine, did also come up in their remarks.
Yeah.
That's digital sovereignty and the question of nuclear energy as well.
Yeah, let's talk about digital sovereignty. Digital sovereignty is embodied in what's called the Digital Services Act. That is unique European legislation which basically seeks to keep the online environment safe by tackling illegal online content. And what is illegal content, right? It is stuff that goes after hate speech that could, incite violence. It's stuff that goes after sexually explicit child material on the internet, child abuse material, and it's a very hard-hitting act. And Europe says it's really about their digital sovereignty. Trump's White House has been going after it, basically threatening sanctions against both European countries, but also individuals who are involved in implementing and enforcing Europe's Digital Services Act, saying from the U.S. view, from Trump administration's view, that it stifles free speech, that it hinders the innovation of these tech giants. It sees it as an impediment, and it's going strong. But Friedrich Merz, the German chancellor, saying he told Trump in no uncertain terms that the Digital Services Act is not up for negotiation. It's not up for debate. This is a matter of Europe's values. It's a matter of Europe's sovereignty.
Douglas Herbert, thank you very much.